Let me start riding, people start sliding. This is how I'm going on, music blazing. Make them know that I'm not trying to rap, but I'll be coming with my chatting and all of that. Cause they won't stop even when we reach the top. Some niggas so cold like we have to pop. Niggas them I talk, but they want we drop. Anywhere I go, that's where the party's at.
How far exactly are we from Murder Mile?
5 minutes drive, I think. We call it Murder Mile because within that radius there were a number of shootings that take place. I think it was given the name by the Hackney Gazette. We are now in the area of the Murder Mile. Now I'm slowing down right now, and it is right here, right off here, we have the two vehicles, right here, the two vehicles that the two young men were shot in, and they drove on down here, and I think one of them crashed into a bus. Yeah, this is not Clapton. This is Clapton Pond. Right here is known as Clapton Pond, and that is Charm Club. The shooting took place, as I understand, right off here, and therefore the people driving the car got on there, and they didn't get any further than that. They died in the car down the bottom there. Just around the corner here in Kenninghall Road, just around there, in front of that tower block, that's where somebody has got shot and killed. We are now entering onto the Lee Bridge Road. This is the Lee Bridge roundabout. So that is part of the Murder Mile.
The relationship between Hackney Council and the police suffered a serious communication breakdown between the mid-80s and the mid-90s.
Hackney has a tradition that the police have been kept, not at arm's length, but, on the other side of the world almost, if they could have it.
For many years, police were not allowed in Hackney schools.
That has changed.
As soon as anything happened, I'll get a telephone call from any one of the senior officers saying, Mr. Hansen, we have got a problem. Would you come for us to talk about it? And then we'll go and talk about it.
Building on a solid foundation of partnership work around community safety, the Crime and Disorder Act 1998 put this work on a statutory footing. Police, the local authority and key partners produced an audit and strategy called Cutting Crime Down to Size, which covered the period 1999 to 2002. What you're about to see are just a few examples of some of the projects and initiatives which derive from this strategy.
We got together as a council, the police and community and youth workers and had a brainstorming session, and out of that came the Safer Streets campaign, which eventually won 4 national awards for its creativity. The partnership covers very many areas of work, including youth work. We've got youth diversion programs. We have burglary projects tackling problems to do with bogus callers. We also got work to do with street robbery. Safer Stations project, making local railway stations safer. The whole area of human activity is covered by the partnership in some shape or form.
My name is Stephen Woodley, and I'm the Youth and Community Safety Coordinator, and I'm based in the Shoreditch area. I've been involved in the Safer Communities now for the past 2 and a bit years, and I came across from a youth work background So in terms of those skills, they were quite useful in looking at issues of youth crime and youth crime prevention. We're looking at three key aspects. One is specifically at the offender in terms of antisocial behaviour and actually dealing with that. The second aspect is looking at crime prevention, working with young people to reduce crimes and coming up with lots of different projects to tackle that issue. And the third aspect is getting the community involved in terms of coming up with different strategies of how to work with young people to reduce crime. And here's a car that was, I know for instance last week that this wasn't here on Thursday afternoon when I came past. And between sort of Friday and Monday morning, this has happened. And this is a classic example of where young people have played a game called chicken. Young people climb into a car and they set fire to it. And the object of the game is to stay in the car until you feel you're ready to jump out. And the last person to jump out is the winner. I have to coordinate activities among the police, housing, social services, education, youth offending team, and a whole host of members of the community to look at some crime among certain young people within the community.
So what's happened to the whole, they've taken everything, our little,
Woodbury Down Youth Club holds a number of activities for young people, particularly in the Woodbury Down New River ward, who we regard as high-risk young people. My name is Stella Turner. I manage Groundwork Hackney Youth Inclusion Programme. Woodbury Down Estate was identified as an estate that had very high crime committed, particularly by young people. The Youth Inclusion Programme is a new initiative which is funded by the Youth Justice Board to reduce crime of 13 to 17-year-olds.
hi Mandy, you away?
I have a team of workers that I manage. In partnership with other agencies, we work together to hold activities and diversionary programmes so that young people are engaged in a number of activities which will give them positive experiences and life skills. We need to put this up here, the sign, just advertising the...
My name's Kadir and I come here to just hang out basically, and these people, they treat us nice and they do loads of activities to do some work to help me as well, because I'm doing volunteering youth work in here, trying to work with the teenagers, because I'm doing a childcare course in college, so hopefully this will benefit me to understand more about teenagers. Before then I was a young criminal and committed kind of a few crimes, and Stella, she helped me, she came to court with me, and luckily I didn't go to prison, and since then I felt that I owe her, so basically I'm here today to just try and teach people what I've learned.
We work actively with the police in identifying young people who are high-risk young people, as in that they've either offended or they're at risk of offending.
It's been identified that young people are desperate to have activities. I've got quite a varied experience of working with young people in the community. It dates back to my time as a police officer, because obviously as a police officer you spend a lot of time with young people. Specifically the last 6 years of my service in the police, I was actually in charge of the Youth and Community Safety Office, which dealt with young people involved in crime. And then the last couple of years I've actually been working in the local authority. It's a very unusual thing to happen, but it was decided that with the Crime and Disorder Reduction Partnership it was vital that we should get total liaison between the police and the council, because they are the big players with the housing associations and with our health and the fire, and that I should be based within the town hall. So interestingly, for 2 years I worked effectively as a local government officer. One of my roles was leading a team of youth and community safety coordinators. I'm now one of them. The big thing I have learned, I think, is that you've got to work as a team. None of us stand alone. I have to say that the Amherst Park Extra Group is a most incredible organisation. It's a group of people who got together about 12 years ago and said, look, we want to make our community better. There were a number of issues. One of them was prostitution.
My name is Ruth Maudfield and I'm the treasurer of the Amherst Park Action Group. Stanfield Station was being used by the prostitutes to bring clients in. They were using drugs in the station and it became generally a no-go area. When I was reading the Hackney Gazette, I read that Dulux Paint were giving away free paint to organisations for community projects. We then decided we'd embark on trying to use that paint to improve the area in the station to make it more user-friendly. So we were very lucky, we got 5 schools in the area. It was a very exciting project. The murals are all on display in the station. West Anglia and Great Northern, they played their part. They actually cleaned up the station, made it bright and cheerful.
But one interesting thing is they actually got the law changed. Now that's an amazing thing. A local community group got the law changed.
Finally last year in the Crime and Disorder Bill, the bill was passed and now the police have got the powers of arrest for curb crawlers, which was for us a major achievement.
CCTV, another great scheme that's got off the ground. Got some money together, got some funding, got organised, and got the council on board with them, and they got CCTV cameras.
We took on a multi-agency approach to involve everybody that was concerned just to play their part.
My name is Shulek Anglech. The reason why we are here is because this area is one of the areas that is identified as high crime areas. We are in Stoke Newington and it is Rectory Ward on one of the estates that we have set up a project called Rectory West Our Neighbour Safety Project. This gate is one of the measures that we have decided we are going to use in order to reduce crime and disorder in this area. By this gate we are making sure that we control the access. These used to be the sheds for the estate, but we actually demolished these sheds with negotiation with the tenants and the residents living in this estate as well, because these sheds were heavily used by drug dealers and sex workers. But as you can see, we have installed CCTV cameras just as another measure to reduce crime in this area. These doors are called safer city doors, which are very safe and secure, and it is one of the measures that we actually establish on this estate.
How long ago were these improvements implemented?
Well, we have started working here nearly about 6-7 months ago, but in terms of demolition of the sheds, it only happened last week.
Domestic violence is a crime, and we provide various services for women and children who have been affected by domestic violence. So I suppose historically the main area of focus has been around providing safe temporary accommodation, advocacy support. We've historically had quite a good relationship with the Community Safety Unit in Hackney, and we're quite proud of that. If you work with a family around individual safety, then that spreads out. It's the domino effect.
I'm involved now as chair of the Hackney Community and Police Consultative Group, which is a focus group that monitor what police do in the borough. The issues that we talk about is involve a safer community. When we think about the crimes that are taking place, it's important that one get involved.
Ken Hansen was involved in another conference in September, which was just a one-day conference. Again, it was basically working with Ian Allgood, who's a police officer from the partnership unit at Stoke Newington, just pulling this conference together for him for the CPCG.
That means Community and Police Consultative Group, for those who do not know what CPCG means.
Which generally looks at issues of working in partnership with the police in terms of issues around crime and the community.
Oh yes, the youth conference was a great thing. That was a magnificent day. It first came to me when we started to think about the situation here in Hackney, youth and crime, and then I mentioned it at one of the executive meetings. It went down very well with the executive committee members. Perhaps, you see, some people do not realize the amount of work that need to be done with young people. And again, there's a number of people who think that there's something to be done. For instance, at the youth conference, we had a number of adults who came to the conference. They took part in workshops, they took part in discussion, and in actual fact, they make the day also go very, very well. It shows that they are concerned by a good number of our elderly people or older people within the borough about youth crime.
The police and the council together put a joint bid in to the Home Office to receive a grant for money to be spent on burglary reduction in residences within the de Beauvoir area. Well, I retired from the Metropolitan Police after 31 years service. The last 6 of those I was employed as a crime prevention officer at Stoke Newington Police Station. So I knew the setup and I knew the area quite well. And when the offer of applying for the post of the worker on the de Beauvoir project came along, it suited me quite nicely at the time. I've had some very, very good feedback. Through neighbourhood renewal funding, I have been employed as the Borough Burglary Reduction Officer, which means hopefully taking the lessons that we've learned from the de Beauvoir project and putting them to good practice within other areas of the borough during my 2.5 years in post. That means, hopefully, with the goodwill of the population as well, getting the same sort of results which we got on the de Beauvoir project, which was a 35% reduction in reported crime, which represented a cost saving of £96,000.
We have also publicised all the work of the Safer Communities partnership, burglary, tackling hate crime, making the streets safe, the Young People's Conference. This is, as it were, a shop window, and this goes to all the residents. Here I actually did an interview with a young girl whose boyfriend went into prison for a year for street robbery, and she was extremely shocked about this. Jida Begum from Skinner's School, I wrote a story about her too and how she feels about street robbery, because part of the street robbery campaign that we've been currently running is about how young people feel about street robbery, and we use their words and what they feel about it and their response to it, which is her drawings, which is about a young woman being very upset about her boyfriend being behind bars. So in that way we've got a much better chance of communicating to young people about their own concerns and also getting messages across to them about street robbery.
KI, my nigga score. You know this, Ha! Ayo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still alive. Kill a sense score, you may have to.
I'm Barry Scales, I'm a police inspector working in Hackney Borough, and for the last 2.5 years I've been the project manager of the DP3, which is Dalston Partnership Policing Project. Back in 1999 it was identified that Dalston, particularly the town centre, was an all-crime hotspot, and some work done by a drugs agency had identified the link between the crime here and drug abuse, particularly crack cocaine. It was recognised from the outset you can't police these problems away on their own. There are far more deep-seated problems than the police can deal with. Police have always been quite successful in short-term solutions, but we wanted a more longer-term solution. And so, in addition to the police team, which was 10 constables and 2 sergeants and myself, there was drug outreach work funded, drug arrest referral work funded, because the idea is to try and get the people into treatment.
Ayo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still alive. Kill a sense score, you may have to survive. Them hand me the mic from a slice like a knife.
We also discovered quite early on that the main victims of crime in the area were the businesses. Yet we knew what the retailers needed in their shop, but unfortunately, police talking to retailers didn't seem to work. We weren't speaking the language of retailers, so we employed a specialist who was expert in retail security to go and actually convince the people to help themselves, but put it in terms that made sense to retailers.
Main aims that DP3 set out to achieve were to reduce drug-related crime, all other crime, and reduce fear of crime and retail-related crime.
Market for Blue Base, can I have a radio check, please? Thank you.
I think if you speak to the retailers and some of the market traders who 2 or 3 years ago I think felt quite isolated, the efforts that Russell and the police team have put in have certainly changed that and turned that around.
My name's Keith Hughes and I'm actually a retail manager.
Hello, Rick.
Been in the area for so long as a long-serving manager, I gained quite a bit of respect, and obviously it's important to speak to people on the right level. I think with the local people, they need to have role models to act on. I was confronted by the local inspector, Barry Scales, and he informed me that the partnership was actually forming. For the last 2.5, 3 years, I've actually been working with Dalston Policing Project, which is actually a Home Office funded project. DP3, the programme's come to an end, but we thought as a community we needed to carry on from where DP3 left off. We actually set out to train 600 retailers, individual retailers from different walks of life, into how to manage their store and their businesses.
This is a bridesmaid's dress. People might not understand, but we as businesses have to deal with crime ourselves from the customer. And since joining the partnership, I've had a lot of help and support from the police as well as other shops.
So we cater for any size.
Being a part of the Dalston Retail Partnership has been a lot of good work, basically. I have seen an improvement regarding to the crime that's in the area.
We've been quite successful. The shoplifting's gone down, the credit card fraud's gone down. So in general, as an area, Dalston's been really successful in actually achieving some of the goals and targets. With a 6% sort of like crime rate reduction, it's really, really excellent figures for us.
Then there was another strand which was to do with the community. You know, quite often projects are parachuted into areas, imposed, or at least that's how the people see it, imposed upon them. And so from the outset we wanted to actually get the people on board in the local area, apart from the businesses, to try and get them to again, empower them to help themselves. The community initiatives person, now that's Jennifer Alert. She has been extremely successful in engaging elements of the community who lacked a sense of empowerment. And she's done this by going to them and saying, look, this is what DP3 is. And so she and I set up something called the Dalston Safety Network.
It's also been a very successful public relations strategy that I've developed with my team and the police team to encourage people to approach and feel that they'd be heard and that their needs were going to be met.
Getting the views of the local people has been one of the main successes of this project.
These are just a few faces that make up the Hackney Crime and Disorder Reduction Partnership. With the help of Hackney Police, Hackney Council, community organisations, local businesses and Hackney citizens, we are working together to make Hackney a safer community.
What makes the partnership different to many others around the country is, first of all, this was the first time in this country that such a partnership had been set up between the police and the council and other agencies. But also the way that the partnership developed was a very creative way, and I do think that people in Hackney, and obviously I'm including myself in this, are creative, and we've had many different and innovative ideas.
The future for Hackney is for all of us, and I'm saying this now. The future for Hackney can only be better if all of us work together. We've got to work as a community and police together with the local authority to make certain that things happen in Hackney. Hackney is not only for the people of Hackney. Hackney is for everyone who comes into Hackney.
I think a lot of work needs to be done to make Hackney a safer place. I think councillors generally have to take the views of the people into account.
Don't get me wrong, we haven't won everybody, we haven't got the whole thing sorted, we've got a long way to go, but we're well on the way and we're doing it. We're doing the best we possibly can and we're keeping going on that.